On today's episode of the show, Josh and I are here to talk about the NBA All-Star Game voting and its current state, maybe some debates on All-Stars, and obviously the starters were released. We'll go through some of that, as well as Josh has been itching to do this for what feels like an eternity, and the Hornets deserve it. I finally just pulled the plug and said, yes, we're doing it. The Hornets are buzzing. We have to give them the credit they deserve. And of course, as outlandish as it sounds, I have an opportunity to tie trivia this week. Next.
Welcome back to the 2 Pointers podcast. I'm Josh.
And I'm Trevor.
We're back. We took a week off. Josh's job sucked for a little bit. Well, it didn't suck. There was just a lot of things at one time. I love my job. But Josh was busy, and now we're back because we can do it again. Trevor, how are you?
We've gotten very lucky a couple times about how we take these weird breaks, and coincidentally, basically nothing happens. We didn't miss much. I mean, people got time to indulge the hour and 45-minute longest pod so far in our time doing this, that they got time to indulge the extra content that we had there. And I hope people enjoyed it. Obviously, it was a very fun episode. Really quick, I'll get our shameless plug out of the way. I will link all of the stuff in our description today of our interview on Voyage Raleigh. Obviously, we mentioned we are from the Triangle area, and we got featured in a really cool piece. You guys can find a little bit more about us. It'll be on our website as well. All the social medias released this weekend, and we'll talk about that. Or you'll see that, not talk about that. You'll see that on all of our social medias in the descriptions below. Thank you, Voyage Raleigh, for the cool feature. That was about all we missed in that week. So, I am looking forward to talking about the current state of the All-Star Game voting, because that was a big deal. And here we are to discuss it.
Yeah. It's honestly, as I think about it, it's kind of good that we took a little bit of a day off or week off. Because if we hadn't, you all would have been treated to a nice 20-minute podcast segment about Grayson Allen hitting Alex Caruso, which would have been a joy to everyone, obviously.
It's still, I mean, to be clear, still worth talking about, but not necessarily on here. We brushed over it a little bit as we've done some of that ColorCast stuff. Obviously, if you guys haven't had a chance to check in yet, we'll be doing some ColorCast stuff up and on here in the next couple of weeks on the ColorCast app. Obviously, come in here, anything that we might have room for in an hour. It was fun to talk about. I think we've done Mavs, Suns, and now, man, Brooklyn Warriors was that bad that I think I literally almost forgot about it. A game was just so bad for so long, and then it was like,
I was going to say, like, it was a very close ending, but you got caught up on your trade machine.
Yeah, we had a couple of cool people come drop in and give us some trade scenarios, player comps. So if you want to hear all of that stuff that we don't fit in this episode, or any episode for that matter, that's a great place to hear it. So more content coming soon. I'm ready. I'm shocked we're not starting with the Hornets, but the All-Star Game voting just seems like this. We need to be the jury here. We'll just pretend we're in a courtroom and we are the jury deciding on the fate of the All-Star Game voting. And it's bad. And that's where I'm going to start. It's bad. And I'm ready to dissect it.
Well, Trevor, take us through who are the All-Star starters and then kind of explain why we're having this conversation.
So we're having this conversation because I actually didn't have them pulled up. That was probably problem number one. So we're having this conversation because, it's fun. It's the All-Star Game. Fans have a cool vote. I even a month ago endorsed voting. I was like, exercise your right to vote and vote for the All-Star Game. Sometimes the vote counts twice. I now, looking back on it, not a great PR stunt, because people like Andrew Wiggins make the All-Star Game starters, but I'm going to get to that even more in detail. The captains, as of right now, if Durant doesn't get changed out, I don't think they should let him pick a team if he's not going to be on the team. I've made that very clear the other day. But as of right now, Team LeBron and Team Durant are going to be drafting Thursday, February 10th. They'll know the rest of their rosters here shortly. It'll actually come out right after this podcast comes out. Shocker. But the Eastern Conference is Kevin Durant right now, Giannis, Joel Embiid, Trae Young, and DeMar DeRozan. Pretty standard stuff for the play of these guys this year. And the 2022 NBA All-Star Western Conference starters per se, in quotation marks, is LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, Steph Curry, John Morant, very deserving. There's a big elephant here now. There's this like insert elephant, or white noise, or there's something here that I can't get over. Andrew Wiggins is the final All-Star starter in the West.
Maple Jordan making Canada proud.
7 NBA seasons later. Better late than never? Is that where we're starting? Like better late than never, right? He made one. With those expectations, he had to make one.
Is there any other All-Star starter that's averaging less than 20 points per game?
Just first glancing this list, absolutely not. Every one of these guys is 23 plus. I'm pretty sure every one of these guys is 23 plus right now.
Just wondering.
Because the guy that would be the lowest, I think Trey right now is averaging 23 and a half, 24, something like, and that's ridiculous.
So like the announcement of this was so absurd that a lot of people thought like it was a joke at first, like it was fake Twitter accounts announcing the teams. That was kind of the broad sentiment until they realized that it wasn't, and that it was real. But Andrew Wiggins is starting, and no disrespect to Wiggins, he's having a career year. But the Warriors fans, clearly the Warriors have probably at least the largest fan base in the Western Conference. Clearly, that's what I've learned from all of this. They clearly have the largest fan base in the Western Conference because there's no other way that they got him as a starter.
If they did though, why would Steph Curry not be the All-Star captain right now?
Because LeBron James has his own fans that are not team related.
There you go. The other elephant
Curry
had to be
should
addressed.
Be the All-Star captain.
100%. Even if he should or shouldn't be, it would be awesome. And I hope he gets one eventually. And I think it's going to take his last year, whatever that first year that he's still playing really, really well, hopefully, and LeBron's retired. Somewhere in there maybe happens.
Or just announce your retirement, Steph. You don't have to go through with it. Just do it and they'll vote for you.
That's just true. He's going to absolutely be a captain at least once. It'll be the year he retires. That's a great point.
You don't have to actually go through with it. Just say it's happening.
So before, let's address the part about, this is not an Andrew Wiggins slander segment. That's not what this is. Albeit it should be. But what I'm trying to, before I ask the question of the format of the voting, because that was the obvious, I have a question for Josh every segment. That's the obvious question. Does the voting suck? The question before that, though, is we have to understand, why he's there. It's not just, people go, why, right? The Warriors have a dedicated fan base, but you mentioned the voting. My other question is, do people understand really why he's there? Andrew Wiggins is in the All-Star game because of K-pop. People are going to listen to this and laugh at this. It's not a joke. You talk about dedicated fan bases. It's not the Warriors fan bases that got him in. It helped. K-pop. A famous K-pop, I don't have the tweet in front of me. Shame on me.
Yeah, you're gonna have to give me more because I'm
a famous. This is I couldn't believe it the night of either. I tried to figure this out. I was tracking it down.
BTS is K-pop, right? That's the only thing.
Yeah, that's the only thing I knew too. Andrew Wiggins. I'm gonna Google Andrew Wiggins K-pop All-Star game, whatever, and it'll probably pop up. I have to find the tweet. NBA Twitter's the best. Oh, here we go. NBC Sports. Wiggins owes assist to K-pop star Bam Bam for All-Star selection. Bam Bam tweeted, here we go. Bam Bam tweeted on January 7th. This was just before I think it concluded. It's the best time to begin 2022. He is one of the best two-way players. Wiggs deserves to be an all-star. Vote Andrew Wiggins into the 2022 NBA All-Star game and can't wait to meet you all very soon. Hashtag Andrew Wiggins, hashtag NBA All-Star. It was 3 photos of him. So get this. This tweet blows up and gets, hundreds of thousands of likes and retweets. K-pop fans are dedicated. You have to account for how many votes. Every one of them retweets it, right? And then every one of them goes and individually tweets. We're talking millions. This is millions, right? And then Bam Bam realizes what he did. This is the part that summed it up for me, that light bulb, mind blown, whatever. Is Bam Bam tweeted the night that Andrew Wiggins was announced in the lineup, and he goes, wait, did Andrew Wiggins is he actually a starter? Like he's shocked. Like he's surprised. Like you see him in replies to tweets about the All-Star stuff. And like Bam Bam, famous K-pop singer, in the comments of stuff is like, wait, this is real. Yes, it's your doing. You did it.
I feel like there's a fair possibility he did that as a joke. And it happened.
And it happened. So yes, we can give credit to Warriors fans, and I'm glad you opened it with that. But I'm going to make sure that people realize that K-pop is the reason Andrew Wiggins. This is the tumultuousness of this situation. The Andrew Wiggins All-Star appearance took an entire genre of music in Korea to be possible, and it just shows you how ridiculous this is. So that's my transition to the question of: is the All-Star game voting stupid, broken, or both?
Okay,
Yes.
So I've flipped back and forth.
Okay.
Because my original thought was, like, my initial 3-word reaction, and this does not typically paint my picture of my feelings of the Warriors, was Warriors fans suck. That was my knee-jerk reaction to the story. The first thing that came to mind. And your point sounds true, because it makes you think of, like, how in the world did Wiggins get in? But, like, if it was just Warriors fans, like, Klay Thompson should be there. Like, because they love Klay more than they love Steph Curry, more than they love Wiggins by far. So my thought was that All-Star fan voting should just be gotten rid of completely. I no longer think that, because I kind of broke it down to myself on what I think the purpose of the All-Star game is. So, like, the purpose of, like, the all-pro teams is to determine, like, you know, the 5 best players that deserve to be honored for their good seasons, their great seasons, right? The All-Star game, and that's the all-pro teams at the end of the day, are for the players. They're not, like, really for the fans. The All-Star game, on the other hand, is literally just for the fans. It's basically about them creating, like, fantasy creating whatever game they want to see. And so at the end of the day, I think that fan voting still needs to be there. I just think there's problems in the structure of fan voting. A lot of people probably don't realize, one, that despite the fact that they don't do Eastern and Western Conference teams anymore, they mix it up. It's still just 13 players from the East and 13 players from the West, or 12 and 12. It's one of those two. It's 5 starters from the East and 5 starters from the West. So they still split that up, and then they make them, which probably could be changed considering we're not doing the Eastern or Western Conference thing anymore. And the other part is that when you're voting for the starters, you get to pick 2 backcourt players and 3 frontcourt players. Andrew Wiggins counts as a frontcourt player, which is part of the reason that slip him in there made him much more likely to get voted to the starters team. It's stupid because, one, who's determining, like, whose position is exactly this when people play the most outrageous lineups all the time? Like is Nikola Jokic, like, you could say Nikola Jokic is a backcourt player. He does it, like, half the time. He takes the ball up court for Denver. I mean, what determines what position you play? Like, we're not playing a position-based game anymore. So what's the point of doing this 3 frontcourt players and 2 backcourt players?
So I also had the same moral conundrum where I'm like, does it suck? And I was like, deep down, I wanted to be like, yeah, it stinks. However, I'm going to fight myself over and over again in this segment until we come to a conclusion. And I'll tell you one thing I learned literally as I'm looking at this right now. Malik Monk was the 10th most votes for All-Star guards in the West. I just wanted the silence to mellow in that. Okay.
Lakers fans suck.
403,000 people said Malik Monk is behind, by the way, deservingly behind.
As a meme? Like, was it as a joke?
I don't know. It doesn't, we don't
like
know.
When Boban almost got picked and they, like, disqualified him, basically.
Right. The reasons are we don't know, right? Damian Lillard ahead of him, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Devin Booker, Klay Thompson, Luka Doncic, John Morant, Steph Curry. So
people can't see the side eye you gave me when you said Russell Westbrook.
We promise we're going to do visual one day. There will be TikToks and YouTube's coming. there's no other discrepancies across East or West in terms of positions. There's no other ones that are weird except for the Andrew Wiggins thing, who got 3.452 million votes. So initially, my answer to you is yes, this is stupid and it should be abolished. However, I completely agree with the positionless thing. It needs to be completely positionless, and it needs to be voted on in a way where
and no conferences either. I think it's top 10 total vote getters. That's the start.
So I'm okay with that. I'm, whatever, 50-50, whatever word you want to say for that, because it ultimately doesn't matter because eventually they will be picked by. However, you have a year where, let's say, for some reason, 16 guys from the West get in and the rest go in I don't love it because I think it should be a fair shot. However, the turmoil begins where you go, okay, well, if we just do it on fan voting in terms of numbers, Wiggins still gets in. I'm not saying he's not an all-star. I think this year, especially with the injuries and stuff, yeah, he probably slots in. This is probably the year where he's not a Paul George. He's not a Kawhi Leonard. So, that's two dudes right there that automatically would take his spot anyway. So really, realistically, if they both were playing, he probably doesn't make it. So,
my point is not to my point was to say that, yeah, I mean, in this case, Andrew Wiggins should be an all-star because I'm categorizing the phrase all-star basically just to be a popularity contest.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. That's why LeBron's got the most votes overall in his captaining Team West.
So in terms of totality, if we're just doing total votes, and this is without looking in exact order, it's like guys like in order, it would be like Steph, Ja, Luka. But at that point, the confusing positionless part, you can debate. There's no sure answer. We're not going over a sure answer. We're just going over why we think it might stink or not. But guys that were more deserving, if we go positionless, but then the question is, how do you determine it? And that's the part I get stuck at is, okay, well, if Andrew Wiggins doesn't deserve it with 3.7, whatever, the guy right above him or below him is, I'm going to go back to where the forwards are. Paul George is fourth. Below him, Anthony Davis. Below him, Draymond Green. Below him, Carmelo Anthony. Are we sensing a theme here?
A lot of Lakers.
The front court, as we classified it. Hold on. Yeah, no, seriously, regardless of that. Are we sensing a theme here? Melo, love him to death, doesn't deserve it. Missed a decent amount of time. Draymond, missed a decent amount of time. Davis, missed plenty of time. George, missed more time than Davis did.
Popularity.
So my point being here is Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, and DeAndre Ayton are 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Oh, Rudy got robbed, man. Like, if we're doing all pro team for who deserves to be there.
Cat?
Rudy's
right above him.
Cat.
Cat has 1.6 million. Rudy has 767,000.
Well, I was just talking about play, not popularity.
The popularity part of it. You look at the numbers and you go, why does Cat have that many more? And he might not even make it. And he deserves it. And he should make it. Both of them should, to be clear. So where I come from is, what is our solution? Is it completely based on the numbers where Andrew Wiggins still gets in, right?
Yes.
But then what's the part of that where isn't there a part where the players vote, the coaches vote, the media? How does it ultimately end up happening? Do we know? I can't remember off the top of my head. Like right now, when we go to find out the full lineup,
the reserves are players, coaches, media vote like
conglomerate, right? Yeah. Okay.
For the reserves.
So then what's the debate? Starters, right? We are frustrated. I say we get rid of the starters altogether. You announce the all-stars based on a conglomerate of fan voting, and then I don't know how it works, but something has to change because I don't care that Andrew Wiggins is a starter. I care that there are guys like Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Donovan Mitchell, Paul George, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, DeAndre Ayton, Miles Bridges, Bam Adebayo, Jared Allen, Jimmy Butler, Jason Tatum. Hold on. Jaylen Brown, Darius Garland. Derrick Rose was 8th. I'm going to leave him off. Fred VanVleet, who's had an unbelievable season. LaMelo Ball and James Harden. All of those guys deserve it over Wiggins. That, if you were keeping count, is more than 12. So I just don't care that he's a starter. I care that if he deserves it based on the fan voting and there's some percentage of it that weighs into the fan voting in this miraculous solution, great. If he gets in for fan voting, and then if the media truly thinks he is and coaches and players, they'll get him in. Get rid of the starters. That's all I'm saying. I don't care about it. It doesn't matter because we wouldn't be doing this segment right now if he wasn't voted in. Change my mind.
No, we wouldn't be. It makes me think of, and I wonder if they've changed how they did things, but so the NHL does their All-Star game really weirdly. This story has a point where they select 4 captains by fan vote, just one from each division that they have in the NHL. And then the rest of the teams are determined by like the conglomerate voting. So one year there were 3 captains that kind of made sense. It was something like, and I know this doesn't work out for divisions, but I'm just going to say like Crosby, Ovechkin, Patrick Kane.
You're just naming
Those names you all
you
know,
could think
right?
of.
Huh?
It's just guys you could think of right now.
Yeah.
We don't watch a lot.
The 4th one, I don't remember the guy's name. It was like, yeah, I don't remember his name.
It's some random dude. Got it.
But he got in there. He was a bench player. You know why he got in as a captain?
Was it K-pop?
He led the NHL in penalty minutes.
So
he was the NHL's most
Got
entertaining fighter. He was like 6'5",
nice,
really big, just decked dudes, just completely demolished guys. He didn't have that many hockey skills, just completely creamed people. And he was one of the top 4 vote getters. He was,
and he shouldn't have been.
In the
NHL let's just say it. He shouldn't have been.
I think they might have gotten, like, the NHL was so embarrassed at that point that I think they might have gotten rid of the All-Star voting in captains. I could be wrong. But this is just a funny example of things that could happen. This almost happened in the NBA All-Star game several years ago when Boban almost was a captain. He didn't play hardly at all. Everybody was having a great time with the idea that Boban would be captain. I think there was a push for Taco Fall as well, but he didn't garner the support that Boban did.
Taco in the first round last year, we talked about it slightly. I think he was 10th. Zaza Pachulia was the one you were thinking about.
Got close. Zaza was kind of the best NBA example of an NHL.
He was like
just
third.
An enforcer that just clobbers people.
He got up to 3rd at one point. Let's just be clear about that. Zaza Pachulia. So again, we're still stuck to this conundrum where we go, is there a solution? Probably not. However,
I think you just let it be popularity, man.
I think you let it be popularity, and I think you let it be positionless. Those were the 2 points that I had. I think we ultimately end up agreeing, and it's the positionless part that kills me. Because those guys I mentioned, all of them deserve it more, and some of them have more votes than him. So in my scenario, where it's like positionless, whatever, basketball is a positionless game, whether people like it or not. Then it makes the all NBA thing start to get weird because people, the old heads and people with the votes aren't going to like the positionless thing, whether they like it or not.
Well, it's the media that's deciding all pro. They can do whatever they want. It's not transparent. They can pick whatever they want.
It needs to be positionless there too. But example in my world where Wiggins at 3.4 million for the example, Jokic got in as a starter ahead of him. LeBron obviously did as well on the same team. And if you look at it, guards, Ja got it. So right now, technically Luka, who we all thought was kind of like that 5th guy that Andrew Wiggins was, it's the positionless thing kind of makes it weird. Like Luka was going to get in off of my example.
Like, why should the starting lineup for the West not be Steph, Ja, Luka, LeBron, and Nikola Jokic?
Right.
Like no one would be criticizing that, right?
Right. So in my scenario, with the votes and with the positionless part of it combined, Wiggins still makes it as the 5th starter.
Steph doesn't get in?
Positionless wise, Steph was a starter. Steph and Ja were the starting guards.
But like the top 5 vote getters in the Western Conference.
Andrew Wiggins was in that. He was Luka. Luka was the next guy.
Okay.
So, or technically Paul George had more. So that's the part where I'm talking about that's a problem. Because Andrew Wiggins, in my scenario where I think it needs to change, still gets in this case because of the fan voting. So my moral conundrum, I told you guys I would fight over, you guys and Josh, is I'm coming back now, circling, going, it's got to go. Like the fan voting's got to go. Like that's where I keep jumping back to, because at the end of the day, the All-Star game is for the fans, but the fans also need to realize that the NBA needs to realize that the voting is not necessarily a reflection of fans, because if we want the best guys on the floor for the best weekend in all of basketball, it has to be the best players, period. And that's where my Andrew Wiggins slander has to like put a stop to this conversation, because I'm like, I'll end up slandering Wiggins too much, who had, by the way, had the same stats as Desmond Bane. I highlighted that on the Colorcast app the other day. Andrew Wiggins has the exact same stats as Desmond Bane, and we are not shouting for Desmond Bane right now.
What's funny is that honestly, what it just colors to me is how great of a year Desmond Bane's having. But
it is. That is.
Yeah.
But in the other side of the part, Kevin Durant made it, Giannis made it, Joel Embiid, we talked about, Zach LaVine, missed out. So DeMar and Trey. So Zach LaVine would have still not made it. If we're talking about your thing where it's just, let's take your example with the voting and my style together. Let's combine them. Guess who misses it still? Over, by the way, Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins still gets in over these guys. Zach LaVine misses it. James Harden misses it. Your boy LaMelo Ball only got 1.2 million. I see a big jump for him in the next couple of years. I think he'll end up being in that top 3 every year kind of thing. Joel Embiid.
He's being held back by the fact that he plays in Charlotte. I'm not asking
Correct.
for him to leave, but it's just like our market isn't that big.
Correct.
He's big. The fact that he is that high shows just how insane his popularity is, like nationwide.
But that's it. Wiggins still gets over LaVine and Harden is the main 2. After that, it's like Tatum, Butler, your guys that maybe shouldn't have been that high anyway. So what's the conclusion? That's what we're here for. What's the conclusion? Have we come to one? Or are we just like, keep it exactly the way it is?
Keep it.
So, yeah, I think I'm going to eventually side with the fact that I think you get rid of the fan voting. The problem is, what do you replace it with? Is it literally just media, coaches, etc.? Well, maybe that's worse. And unless they change it, the world may never know. So if they're going to do this mid-season, if they're going to do this mid-season tournament that they're, flirting around the idea with, maybe all of this changes because they're going to change the landscape of All-Star game anyway, All-Star weekend anyway. They've already tried doing stuff. For mid-season tournament. We'll see what happens. Lastly, on the All-Star game, we'll talk about it afterwards, probably when we recap the All-Star game like we did last year. Actually, I don't think we did. We did so much All-Star content. I think we skipped the recap.
Just like
this year, because of the confusion of the All-Star game, we will probably do a recap because obviously it's a weekend. We record on a Monday. That's the plan, at least. So we'll recap the Rising Stars change. That is a really cool feature that people probably want to hear about. It's a really neat thing. They're basically doing street ball with the Rising Stars. Mm-hmm. Talking about all in ideas. I'm all in there. I hope it sticks around forever. I can't wait for the world and the US and the Oklahoma City Thunder to duce it out and see what happens. So I thought you would laugh at that. That was my best attempt at a Thunder dig. I said I hope that the world, the US, and the Oklahoma City Thunder have a great tournament.
From my Colorcast joke that I was like, I hope the Thunder can just be one of those like 7-man teams.
They should
in the Rising Star Challenge. Although honestly, for people that are actually rising stars, who's getting in outside of, because it's only first and second year guys, so it's just like going to be like maybe they'll put in Giddey and Poku, but
or Theo Maladon if you're asking Grayson.
The Hornets are getting one in. That's LaMelo Ball.
I know. I can't
just to spoil for everyone. I'll be rooting for whatever Rising Stars teams that LaMelo is on. I'll be rooting for whatever All-Star team that LaMelo is on.
Yep.
Since NBA.com went ahead and spoiled that.
I knew you were going to touch that.
Let's transition in.
But that's a beautiful look. See, like I was like, we're going to put a bow on this. How's the bow going to be tied?
All-Star in the history of my franchise.
For people that might not know, we can tweet the photo if it's actually legit. We can tweet it. I don't really care. But I sent Josh an image earlier today from one of our many Instagram pages that we follow, and supposedly NBA TV this morning showed an image of LaMelo. They were just doing a highlight package in some form, and over him, or at the bottom of the screen over his photo, showed 1X NBA All-Star. For those that might not realize, it's Monday, January 31st, our normal recording time in the evening, and we don't know who's in outside of the 10 people we just talked about. So, is he an All-Star? Probably. Do we know for a fact? Absolutely not. So we're
Does LaMelo being an All-Star mean that the guy that's better than him on his own team, Miles Bridges, is also an All-Star?
See, probably that's the part that gets weird. We'll debate
not.
snubs, and if he's in there, then I'll let you just do a 20-minute epilogue or monologue or whatever, any of those logs that Miles Bridges should have made it, because he should.
I mean, it's just like LaMelo getting in and not Miles just shows that it's it is like very much a popularity thing. Has Miles done can Miles just like say he's going to do the slam dunk contest even if he doesn't get in? This is just a whole aside, but like,
no, we're talking about the Hornets now. For people
like everyone considers, like I haven't launched into my actual Hornets spiel, but like just about everyone considers Miles the most entertaining in-game dunker in the NBA. Just have him in the dunk contest again. Like he did it once, but he didn't show out that much.
He's
All I
an
know is
in-game
Cole
dunker.
Anthony is confirmed he's in this year's dunk contest. That's like the only thing.
See what are guys confirming this early for? I just don't. I mean,
I don't know.
guess
Cole
to
Anthony
build the
just tweeted
suspension.
about it, like that he was going to be in the dunk
All right.
contest.
One of
That's
four.
it. Like that's the only name we got.
I think you do 6 instead of 4. I think it makes it more fun.
Yeah.
Miles should be in it, and the fact that he won't win one yet, or so far hasn't won one, is just disgraceful. I think he should
Part of
win
it just
one.
makes me wonder. It's like he's not as limber and theatrical as some of these guys that win the dunk contest. It's just like he's incredible in game. Like he's got legit like the Blake Griffin dunking ability.
Here's the last thing I'll say until you start your is it epilogue where someone talks at the beginning of something for 15 minutes?
That's a prologue.
Prologue, thank you. I knew I was one of the two. I will say that I got to see more Miles Bridges dunks than I ever wanted to when I watched 48 minutes of the Lakers Hornets game the other night. And for those that might not realize or know by now, as we talked about, this is about to hurt me for the next 15 minutes. I am a Lakers fan. Josh is a Hornets fan. And we were going to try to color cast that or live cast that. It did not work out, but I'm kind of glad it didn't. I got to a point in the third quarter where I was watching it to watch the Hornets for the segment and just watch the excitement and watch a team that I haven't watched enough of this year. And I will disgracefully say that. It got to a point during the middle of the third where I was this close to typing up a Google sheet to Josh and being like, my Hornets application is below. Please accept and sign and notarize and send it back. It hurt bad. You can begin your log, whatever you want to call it.
Well, honestly, before we get into that, the fact that I honestly just want to hear what your thoughts are on watching the Hornets, because I imagine that's the first game you've watched like all of in a long time with them.
Okay. I actually was prepared for this because I had a feeling you would ask me, as much as it hurts. If I had to give you a 30-second answer on that game, is if I had just started watching basketball and that was the first game. And by the way, ESPN broadcast, whether people like it or not, ABC and ESPN is the prime time for NBA. I don't care what people say. TNT is a big deal, but kids watch ESPN. Kids watch ABC with their families and stuff. It's the 2 prime networks. If I'm 8-year-old little Timmy right now, and I just turned on ESPN on Friday night, kids stay up on Friday nights. That's fair. They did everything right. The Hornets were the home team, 8:30 game, right? 8:30 ESPN. Yeah, 7:30, close enough. If I'm little Timmy at home right now, and I don't have a favorite team, don't have a favorite player, and that was the first game I watched. And that's what the NBA does when they put these prime times and they send it all over the world. And they're like, I would be a Hornets fan if I was little Timmy right this moment. That was an unbelievable performance by a team that, by the way, it shouldn't have been a 2-point game at the end. It should have been a 30-point game. Hornets should have blown them off the floor. And the fact that it even got close is just a testament to second half Russell Westbrook. Nonetheless, if I'm little Timmy right now, I'm a Hornets fan and my LaMelo Ball jersey is on the way with mom and dad's credit card. Like ship it, put it in the box, let's roll. And it's such a positive sign for a small market in a city like that, a city that I adore, even though I'm not a fan of any of the teams. And I'm excited to see that team play in person in March. I am my excitement level went from like, oh, I'm excited to see like LaMelo and Miles to like, I'm excited to see one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. If you had not told me anything, if my eyes were closed, first NBA game I ever watched, and you said, I'd have thought they were the number 1 seed in the East. Seriously, like that was what they looked like. So this is why I'm stepping back and being like, my mic is being muted unless something blasphemous comes out of you, which is not out of the question. But I am prepared to listen to you for the next 10 minutes.
You just know how much of a crazy Hornets fan I am.
I am prepared to listen.
I don't think I'm going to say anything that crazy. Yeah, I'm just really satisfied about being a Hornets fan. I mean, I'm a little less satisfied at the kind of the poor defensive effort yesterday against the Clippers in the follow-up game. But the poor defensive efforts have been there mostly just because Gordon's been out with COVID. We were doing a lot better, and then Gordon went out with COVID, and he's like the only veteran presence on the entire team. Which is crazy. Like if you look up and down the roster, like Gordon and Mason Plumlee hasn't been there long enough to like be a leadership presence in the locker room. And no one's been there long at all because Miles Bridges is the longest tenured player on the team. He's in his 4th year in Charlotte. But Yeah, I'm just satisfied to see it. I think it's. I was watching yesterday, and as a stat, the Hornets are 28-22 through 50 games, which is the best we've been since the expansion franchise in 2004, the Charlotte Bobcats. There was a Charlotte Hornets team that moved to New Orleans and abandoned the city that did one game better. But as far as the team that I'm, anyone that listens knows my hardline stance of that team in the 90s, as much as I like them for what they did for North Carolina sports, is not my franchise. That franchise is in New Orleans. It's not mine. Because this franchise had to start over in 2004. This is the best they've ever been. Like, I've never sat around in January and confidently said, I'm going to get to watch the Hornets in the playoffs. That's never happened. Definitely didn't happen with the Bobcats. They were only ever in the playoffs like 3 times. But I can sit around and confidently say, like, not even the play-in. Like, I'm confident they'll be in a best of 7 series come May, June, whenever it is. And whoever that's going to be, like, comes into question. But I think, like, this Hornets team, when they play defense, and they started to get it, like I said, before Gordon got sick, before McDaniels got hurt, and Kelly Oubre also with a nagging injury. They were starting to do that, and that team getting hot at the right time can basically be this year's Atlanta Hawks. I think that they can go on a run and upset teams and end up in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think it's going to go further than that. I think we're just the Hornets. If you want to pick of who's going to be the surprise surge team in the playoffs, it's going to go wild and go far. It's the Charlotte Hornets. That's put your money down there. When they're hitting their shots, they're hitting their shots. Kelly Oubre can come off the bench and drop 30 any night, which is outrageous to say this year compared on what we talked about him last year. He can come off the bench and score 30 any night. The only team that I don't want to run into in the Eastern Conference is Miami. Literally, I would be fine in a 7-game series with us against anyone else. I think we could win it. Miami is the only one I don't think we could. This team is really streaky good. Not mature enough yet to be like winning the Eastern Conference good, but streaky enough that they could knock off a better team in the semifinals and make it to that Eastern Conference Finals. That's my rant about my beloved Charlotte Hornets.
So I do have a couple of thoughts, not based on that, but just a couple of things that we need to highlight since we've thought about doing this segment. Is I sent you a tweet on January 20th from an Observer writer, Charlotte Observer, for those that might not know. At that time, the Hornets are 5-1 in the last 2 weeks and have the number 1 defensive rating at 103.3 in the league over that stretch, and have posted a 7.2 point differential with an offensive rating of 21st during that same time, and they are winning those games defensively. Glad you highlighted defensive point because it's worth mentioning. The other part of it is that the Hornets game on the last Friday we mentioned on ESPN against the Lakers was bumped to 7:30. So it was a different time. I was correct on that. It was bumped to 7:30, and it marked the Hornets' 5th national TV broadcast of this season. Why is that important, you might ask? Josh, you might know this. That's the most national TV games in a season since they returned as your Bobcats.
Mm-hmm. It's the most relevant we've ever been. Thank you, LaMelo Ball.
January 31st. They still have February, March, and April.
If we continue to get better, we're going to keep being put in more nationally televised games, too.
They could be at 10. Mm-hmm. Like, the Clippers get 10 national TV games a year. Yep. Like, the second best team in Los Angeles. The second, fan base-wise team in Los Angeles. The other part of it is just reading their schedule recently, because the 5-1, you're going to have teams like the Hornets where you're like, oh, they lose these games here and there. The part that impressed me, you mentioned it. I won't go back too far, but they beat the Bucks at home
twice,
back to back,
and then beat Philly the next game.
Correct. Before that, I'm only going to go back so far because where it really began for me was right before Christmas, and I'm highlighting the Nuggets game because I'm excited to see them play the Nuggets on the 28th on my birthday. March. They beat the Nuggets on the 23rd right before Christmas, and then
it was a wild comeback.
Just an anecdote 24
about
down.
That Nuggets game, because I remember watching it. We were down 19 or 20 points in late in the third,
mm-hmm.
and ended up winning the game on the road. I think it was in Denver.
It
Was
was.
it in Charlotte? Yeah, in Denver.
Yep.
Down by like 20 and showed a lot of grit that came back. Scary Terry went his fourth quarter All-Star mode. So.
You guys can't doubt Josh's remembrance of the Hornets games. So beat the Nuggets, like you said. Beat reigning MVP Nikola Jokic. I believe he played. Then you beat the Rockets. And I'm just going to read a couple things, and I'll read a couple themes that come up. You beat the Rockets, and doesn't matter where these games are. Beat Indiana. You lose to Phoenix by like 40, which hurts. But Phoenix is Phoenix. That's Phoenix, right?
Streaky team, like I said.
You lose to the Wizards by 3.
That was honestly
you demolish the Pistons. You take out the Suns' anger on the Pistons. You beat the Bucks, like we said, back to back. You beat the Sixers. You lose to the Magic at home by 5. That one hurts.
Streaky.
You beat the Knicks. You beat the Celtics. You beat the Thunder. You lose to the Hawks at home again. A lot of home losses here.
They've been a kryptonite for us. Atlanta has. It's been
lose
tough.
to the Raptors. Then you proceed to beat the Pacers 158-126, a rematch of a game that they had like this big Pacers in their locker room. The Hornets had a little.
I believe it was the most points in franchise history. In a game.
Was triple doubles and most threes by Kelly Oubre.
Yeah, that stuff. Was like Oubre had 39. That was my that's part of where my Oubre point was coming from.
Full revenge game. They had the score from the Pacers beating them last year of that same caliber in their locker room.
We also played the Pacers opening night and beat them too at the start of the season.
Correct. Beat the Lakers at home and then lose to the Clippers at home. So the theme here, people go, what's the thing? For some reason, you're losing to teams you shouldn't.
Yeah, it's true.
But almost every of those games, you're beating the playoff games convincingly. Mm-hmm. That to me, I don't care about the loss to the Raptors. I don't care about the loss to the Magic. I don't care about the loss to the Wizards by 3. I care about the fact that you're not going to be playing those teams in April.
Yeah.
You're going to be playing the Sixers, the Lakers, the Clippers, all these teams are the Bucks. You're going to be playing all these teams that are really good. And you're showing that you can win those games now. Tells me you can win them because you might at this point get a home playoff game if you win the first round. Mm-hmm. It's nuts. That's all I have. I am ready for trivia because I am sick of being down 6.
That's my point. Like, of the teams in the Eastern Conference, and this is going to be a bold statement, the only team I've watched us play that I've thought, even if we play our best, I don't think we can beat this team, is Miami.
Miami, bingo. I was going to guess.
Because their defense is suffocating when they have Bam Adebayo. Like, I watched us play them, and I was like, even if we're playing well, I don't know if we can beat Miami.
They're like that period.
I've just watched us beat Milwaukee. I know we can.
Twice.
Fully healthy Milwaukee.
Look at it like this. You go
Brooklyn,
to Milwaukee.
No, we can beat them too because they won't be fully healthy.
Yeah, true. And you have beaten them too. So you look at the Bucks thing.
Philly's people go, like, we're going to pass Philly at some point here. They're kind of an afterthought.
I don't know, the way Embiid's playing in that roster, Philly might not be an afterthought. And we can discuss Philly in the future because I think Philly deserves at least a few minutes in a couple weeks here if they keep this up. Seth Curry is their best player right now, to be clear, other than Joel Embiid. So you go to Milwaukee, you lose 1-1, or you lose both, right? You're going to go to Milwaukee. They're the better seed, hopefully, if it makes sense. I mean, if you're not hopefully, probably Milwaukee.
We could go 1-1 in Milwaukee because I know we can take 2 in Charlotte.
No. I misspoke. So Milwaukee right now, technically Milwaukee, you're closer to Milwaukee than I thought you would ever be in January. And Milwaukee technically is 6th right now, I think. And they
Brooklyn was.
Milwaukee, as of I think I looked yesterday, so it might be different. But
Milwaukee's 5th, Brooklyn's 6th.
Okay, so fluctuating there, and you're not far behind them. Point being is, let's just assume you play Milwaukee. Let's say it's 3-6. That's a good one, right? Let's say 3-6, right? That's 2 plays, right? 3-6.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Milwaukee, you lose 2. You lose both. I know you can come back to Charlotte and beat them because you did. 114, 106, 103, 99. Period. That's how I look at this team right now. And I go, you're going to win these games, and they're going to have to be. And by the way, it's 3rd most sellouts in the NBA this year, Charlotte. So it will be a packed house. I'm ready for trivia because it's probably going to be Charlotte Hornets trivia. So let's just put this little bow on this one and let's just do this corny transition and let's say, let's do all-star trivia. Psych, it's Charlotte Hornets trivia. Go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off, make me miserable, and tell everyone that I'm down by 6.
So Trevor is down 8-2 entering today's trivia.
Shocker.
Today I texted Trevor, "Oh man, trivia tonight's going to be fun." He responded, I'm just going to take him through this whole thing.
Go ahead.
"Oh boy."
It's fair.
I said, "You will have chance for 6 points because honestly, we need to make this podcast more interesting for the next several months, or trivia is just going to get really boring." So I'm really trying to get him to catch up. I've been trying for weeks and have not made it easy enough, frankly. And so I think I got it this time. Well, we'll see. He said, "I hope it's all-star trivia, and I hope we leave enough time for 6 points worth of guess." I responded with a gif of LaMelo Ball laughing. Now, he interpreted that to mean that it was Hornets trivia. I was just laughing at his point, and it just happened to be a LaMelo Ball gif, because I also tweeted a gif of Will Smith shrugging his shoulders. Because today's trivia is how well, I'm going to make a point about how much we talk about the All-Star game going up and then forget about it, because it's how well do you remember last year's NBA All-Star weekend is today's trivia. How well do you remember the 2021 NBA All-Star weekend? And there are 6 different questions, each worth 1 point.
So before you go any further, 2 things. I thought the way you worded that I thought Will Smith had something to do with this. The way you left that last sentence, it sounded like it was Will Smith themed. Second of all, I'm going to go ahead and get my excuses out of the way. I was on vacation in Pittsburgh when the All-Star game was going on, so I was watching it while I was trying to enjoy a lovely vacation with my then girlfriend, now fiance. So there's my excuse now, but I do remember there was a bunch of cool Giannis things. Steph had a fun, alley-oop and some stuff. Don't remember. I know Zion had something to do with it. So thank you for trying, but I'm going to go ahead and get my excuses out of the way now. Let's do it.
So these questions are easy.
Oh.
Or should be.
Okay.
Because I know, I've heard you talk about the answers to these several times for the most part.
Today or period?
Just over the course of our podcast, you've said
Okay.
some of the answers to these questions multiple times when we talked about it. So there's 6 questions. The first 5 are to the point where I can't give you extra guesses on it. It's just kind of a question. You have 1 guess. And these 6th question, you'll get multiple shots because it's talking about who's on the team. But
I don't deserve.
I'm not going to reveal the questions ahead of time. I'm kind of just going to go point by point. Each of these is worth 1 point. There are 6 questions. You could get them all right and tie. Now, that does mean you have to give me a chance for 6 points next week because of the rule set that we've instated. But so this could either result in us getting closer or me just taking a commanding lead that cannot be caught up with.
I would have you name every retired jersey by the Sacramento Kings, I guess. I don't know.
Mike
Something
Bibby.
like that. Or I was going to say the Rochester Royals or something. Anyway, so I'm ready. Let's sure punching
So
back.
this is an unorthodox trivia because I'm basically giving Trevor an entire quiz, but we're going to talk about the All-Star weekend. Question number 1. In what city was the 2021 NBA All-Star game played in?
So can I talk out loud for a second? It wasn't Cleveland, but it was another boring. It was another boring city, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, geez. I'm between 2 guesses, and I'm just gonna hate myself as one. I know. I'm between 2. I'm between Milwaukee because they got a really cool one in the last couple of years, and I can't remember if it was last year. Normally, I'm really good about remembering where it was because, I wanted to go to the Hornets one or the Charlotte one when it was in Charlotte before we had it moved because of a law in North Carolina. They had something happen with it. And I couldn't go to the one that they rescheduled in Charlotte. I just don't think last year's was Charlotte's. I don't think it was. I think it was the year before. I think it was 2020. No. You know what? Oh, gosh. It's Milwaukee, Indiana, or Charlotte, and I can't remember now which one it was. This year's this year's Cleveland. Okay, I'm mad at myself. I'm going to say Charlotte because I have this vague memory of J. Cole. No, that was 2019. Hold on. Wait. Indiana, final answer.
The 2021 NBA All-Star game was played in State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, I wasn't getting Atlanta. That's fine. I wasn't going to get Atlanta. That's okay.
It's
Indiana.
No
I think Indiana
there, but
has it.
You got a chance for 5 more, so you're good. Let's just keep rolling.
Indiana has it in 24, I think. I was looking at it the other day because I was looking at ones that we could potentially go to in the next couple of years. That's why I was bored. And I was like, could we go to any of these? Yeah. Darn it. Okay. Fair.
Question number 2. Who were the team captains of the 2021 NBA All-Star game? Got to get them both. If you get one wrong, it's no point.
Not going to think twice about this. I'm pretty sure it was Giannis and LeBron. Final answer.
The captains of the 2021 NBA All-Star Game were in the Western Conference, LeBron James, and in the Eastern Conference, Kevin Durant.
Of course it was.
The same as it is this year.
Why? Okay. It didn't look familiar in any way. Giannis was the year before, probably. That would be my guess.
Yeah, he was.
Probably so close. All right.
Okay, so I thought you'd have a point at this point, but we'll just keep going. Who was the winner of the 2021 All-Star Game Skills Challenge? Because this has gotten, like, I thought you'd have more points at this point, I'm going to list you the competitors of the Skills Challenge.
Yeah, because that's going to help. That'll actually, no sarcasm, that'll actually help, because I know there's a guy that
in alphabetical order by last name. The competitors were Robert Covington of the Portland Trailblazers, Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks, Chris Paul of the Phoenix Suns, Julius Randle of the New York Knicks, Domantas Sabonis of the Indiana Pacers, and Nikola Vucevic of, at the time, the Orlando Magic.
One more time without the teams.
Robert Covington, Luka Doncic, Chris Paul, Julius Randle, Domantas Sabonis, or Nikola Vucevic.
I was pulling for Chris Paul. I remember it being a bunch of big guys the last couple of years, and I think it was Julius Randle.
Is that your final answer?
Sure.
So the quarterfinals. So the way it happened, Chris Paul and Luka Doncic each got first-round byes into the semifinals. In the quarterfinals round one, Domantas Sabonis defeated Julius Randle. In quarterfinals round one, Nikola Vucevic defeated Robert Covington. Domantas Sabonis and Nikola Vucevic each defeated Doncic and Paul in the semifinals. And Domantas Sabonis defeated Nikola Vucevic to win. So Domantas Sabonis won the 2000.
Vucevic was my second guess. So he
got the finals, but didn't win. All right, no points. Going on to the three-point contest. Who is the winner of the 2021 NBA three-point contest? Here are your contestants in alphabetical order. Stephen Curry, Mike Conley Jr., Jason Tatum, Zach LaVine, Donovan Mitchell, Jaylen Brown, and Devin Booker.
I remember this because I was rooting for Devin Booker, as I probably would. And one more time, the names. I'm really trying to get some points.
Mike Conley, Jason Tatum. Well, actually, let me rephrase that for you. So Devin Booker was originally selected and did not compete due to injury. So
who was his replacement?
Mike Conley. So Stephen Curry,
right. Okay,
Mike Conley, Jason Tatum, Zach LaVine, Donovan Mitchell, and Jaylen Brown. And I just realized that's not alphabetical.
It's all right. It's not going to help me if it wasn't. I think it was Zach LaVine, because people realize that he's more of a spot up shooter now, and it was kind of like a proving ground for him. But why would I pick against Steph? Dude, the fact that I don't remember any of these shows you how little. This year, I've made it a point. I am watching the entire All-Star Game weekend in case this trivia happens again. No.
If you somehow go 0 for 6, then it's definitely happening.
It is, by the way, not the first time I've had a vacation for the All-Star Game. It just happened to be last year where I was in Pittsburgh. Lovely, lovely weekend, by the way. It was gorgeous. I remember watching it in our hotel room. I think it was Zach LaVine.
Is that your final answer?
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire style, and I would be already eliminated. Zach LaVine is my final answer. Regis Philbin.
The winner of the 2021 NBA three-point contest was Stephen Curry of the Golden State Warriors.
Hey, when in doubt, don't bet against Steph. Learn my lesson. Got it. Okay.
He defeated Mike Conley by 1 point in high school.
Of course he defeated Mike. I knew it came down to the end. I remember someone out shooting somebody towards the end, and Mike Conley, really? Okay.
Third question is, who won the 2021 NBA Slam Dunk Contest?
I wasn't getting three. There
were three contestants.
Yeah, if I wasn't getting three, I ain't getting this
in
one.
Alphabetical order. Anthony Simons, Cassius Stanley, and Obi Toppin.
I was rooting for Obi Toppin, but it was Anthony Simons, because that was one of the things I watched, and we got back to our room in time for the slam dunk contest. So yes, it was Anthony Simons.
Is that your final answer?
Final answer. Don't make me second guess it.
Anthony Simons won the NBA Slam Dunk Contest. Everyone, Trevor got a point. It happened since first time since week 3. Trevor is on the trivia board.
Is it really
now
week?
8 to
Wait,
3.
is it? Hold on. Is it really week 3? Was that really how long ago it was? Did you go back and look that up? Oh God.
No, I
Okay.
remember because you scored both weeks, and then it just hasn't happened since then.
You know what's crazy? I don't feel like it. Like no weight lifted off my shoulder because I'm still down 5. Okay.
You've only gotten one.
I have an
So we're
opportunity
on to
here.
the final question.
Of course we are. Sickening.
Oh man. There were 27 individuals selected as NBA All-Stars.
Oh, brother.
In 2021, either as original selections to the team or as replacements. You're going to get 27 guesses, and if you can name 13 of those players, you will get a point. You get 27 guesses to get 13 of those right.
Who would have
They didn't
thought?
even have to play. You could just pick popular names in the NBA and probably get this.
Who would have thought, by the way, that we would ultimately end up back in our normal format? I did not see this coming.
I figured
but
we should go there at some point.
Slick. I like it.
It's only for 1 point. So.
LeBron James.
Yes, he's the captain of one of the teams. There we go. That's one.
Giannis.
Yeah, there we go. Not a captain, but he's another one as well.
KD.
Yeah, that's 3. Keep it rolling.
Wow, brain fart. Luca.
Yeah, Luka's also a starter. That's 4.
A massive brain fart. Damian Lillard.
Yes, reserve, but he's there.
Hey, you didn't. They just had to show up. Actually, they didn't even have to show up. They just had to be
They just
voted
had to
in.
get picked, whether as an original one or as a replacement.
James Harden. Oh, I'm an idiot. He got traded. I'm an idiot. No, he didn't. He didn't make it. He got
the East or
traded.
the West. James Harden, reserve in the Eastern Conference, 6. There you go.
Oh, he
popularity
did.
contest.
Because he got traded.
Because it's a popularity contest.
Because people were wondering if he would get in. Okay, that's fair. Okay.
Yeah, it was his 9th NBA All-Star Game selection. You haven't missed one yet.
Problem is, Steph made it. Steph.
Yes, he was a starter. That's 7.
All right. Phew. I remember Anthony Davis being in it in some form or fashion, so I'm just going to say Anthony Davis. I don't really have anything to lose.
Yeah, he didn't play, but he was selected. Yeah, so yeah, that's
nice. See, I know my Lakers. Pascal Siakam. Why am I thinking about Pascal Siakam right now? That's the most random name I could have thought of.
Is that a selection?
That's not.
Okay.
Let's be clear.
He's got
Julius,
8 so far.
Julius Randle had a career year. Julius Randle.
9. Julius Randle was there. Yes.
It would
Reserving the
be
Eastern
weird.
Conference first All-Star game.
It'd be weird if this guy didn't. Jason Tatum.
Tatum was there. He was
Like, how many starters have I actually named? I feel like I'm.
He was a replacement starter when Durant couldn't play. He started in place of Kevin Durant. Oh, so that means that Durant's still going to get to pick the team. No, based on that. Yeah.
That sucks.
So 10. You only need 3 more. You haven't missed one yet, which means you got 17 guesses to get these next 3.
Once I get them, by the way, obviously we're quitting.
Yeah,
Nikola Jokic.
Yes.
As much as I'm having fun doing this.
The Joker is there.
I'm actually not having fun. I'd be lying if I said I was having fun. My question is, or my question to myself, or my conundrum is, Chris Paul or Devin Booker made it, but there's a lot more guys that I probably should get instead of them. So I'm going to say Joel Embiid.
Starter, yes. Well, originally was supposed to be a starter, then he got cut.
That sucks. Pretty sure I remember. Oh, no, wait, never mind. Because you said Durant was the captain. No Cavs would have made it. No Hornets made it. Sorry.
Wait, sorry. Embiid did not get COVID. He was contact tracing. He was contact tracing out because Ben Simmons got COVID. Sorry.
I'm going to leave that one where it is.
He was kept out of the All-Star game because Ben Simmons got COVID.
If you know, you know. I'm leaving that one where it is. Trae Young. There's no, he didn't. I'm an idiot.
You know, I thought you would sweep this without getting one wrong, but Trae Young did not make the All-Star game last year in Atlanta. That's really sad.
He probably shot
like that's beyond
1%
sad.
from the field. He probably shot 41% from the field. Who cares?
But also, I mean, like this was like they were still in like the Lloyd Pierce sucking portion of the season.
That's true. Domantas Sabonis.
Yes, sir. He made it. Replacement 2. That's 13. Trevor, you got the point. Ding, ding, ding. So it's 8-4. And Josh gets a chance for 6 points next week. So we'll see if it's still competitive. But hey, Trevor's back on the board. That's all you needed. You just got to see it go in.
Just for my sanity, can you please read the other guys that didn't make it? Well, I guess if you probably got.
Yeah, I don't know the order, so I'm just going to kind of list you everyone. So the originally selected starters in the East: Bradley Beal, Kyrie Irving, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kevin Durant, who couldn't play due to injury, and Joel Embiid, who couldn't play due to COVID. The reserves: Jaylen Brown, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Ben Simmons, who couldn't play due to COVID, Julius Randle, Domantas Sabonis, who was a replacement player, Jason Tatum, and Nikola Vucevic. In the Western Conference, starters: Stephen Curry, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, and Nikola Jokic. The reserves: replacement 1, Devin Booker, replacement 3, Mike Conley, Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, Anthony Davis injured, Paul George, Zion Williamson, replacement starter, and Rudy Gobert.
You know what that tells me? Was Donovan Mitchell in there, you said?
Yep.
What that tells me is we should stop doing snub segments, because that's basically every guy that had a good season last season. Seriously. Like, I don't think we missed anybody.
Yeah, the only person I'm shocked by looking back,
Chris Paul.
Trae Young wasn't there. Chris Paul was on it. Yeah, no, I said Chris Paul.
So then
Trae Young not being there is the only thing that shocks me.
I'm just I'm not. Unless I'm just having a brain fart. Like that's a perfect list other than Trae Young.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. Okay, we need to stop doing snubs unless Andrew Wiggins keeps getting in as all-star starters. What a great end to the episode. Yeah, I guess I'll just apologize ahead of time for how difficult your question is going to be, because if I'm going to have any chance at the final finale, you're going to have a
no,
really
it's
hard
okay.
week.
Yeah, I figured that. I did my best to try to get you the catch up here, but nothing pained me more than you were like, "Why would I bet against Steph Curry?" And then you picked Zach LaVine.
Zach LaVine, because I've been on the Zach LaVine can shoot train for 5 years, and I needed the world to see it.
That you didn't get the captain's question right, because I mentioned it last week. I don't know if I didn't mention it this week because I didn't want to give a hint to the question, but I said last week, like, why does it have to be LeBron and Kevin Durant again?
I just remember the Giannis part was hilarious. I just remember Giannis doing it, and it was absolutely hysterical. He picked Chris Middleton. Like,
Giannis was the first pick in this year's draft. If that made any, or last year's draft, that made it any better. He'll be the first pick in this one too.
100%. But my point being is he is just a comedian when it comes to stuff like that. So like,
100%.
I just wanted, be even funnier guy. If we do your thing and we're delaying the end of the episode, but if you and I were to go with our theory and be like, oh, let's just do it where it's, whoever, right? Like, if it was eligibility for anybody to be a captain and not just conference, can you imagine an Embiid and a Giannis captain draft? That's probably one of the funniest ones I could think of in terms of two guys.
Giannis is like
maybe Blake
like
Griffin
a really nice guy, humorous. Like he's like lovably
funny,
humorous and funny, but like doesn't like hurt people's feelings. And then Joel Embiid just hurts people's feelings.
Even Sixers fans. All right.
Yeah. Especially Sixers.
Well, this was a lot of fun. Looking forward to next week. We got to have more college hoops as we keep going. Be on the lookout for some more content across all of our social medias. We've got some sneak peeks and special things coming here shortly. I had this epiphany moment, Josh, where I cannot believe that March Madness starts in basically a month.
Woo!
A literal month, like it's like March.
Today's Carolina Duke week. We went the whole thing, and I hadn't mentioned that yet.
Yeah, that'll be exciting because they got rescheduled. So this is going to be awesome. So
they didn't get rescheduled.
I thought it did. Did it not? Okay. Well, cool. This one, and then obviously Coach K's final game, which will obviously be its own segment with the whole thing. So, All right, fun week. Glad we could take a week off and come back and debate Andrew Wiggins' All-Star starter status.
That being said, this is the 2 Pointers podcast where Trevor's down 2 of those in trivia. I'm Josh.
And I'm still down. I'm just kidding. I'm Trevor.
And we will see you soon. Bye.